Welcome to Journeys with the No Schedule Man, exploring authentic stories of personal growth and lessons learned from people living true to themselves with creativity, passion, and purpose. For all past episodes, subscribe on iTunes or visit noscheduleman.com. And please connect, share, and contribute with a comment, rating, or review. And now, here's your host, the No Schedule Man, Kevin Bulmer.
I've been known to struggle with reality. It's not that it is any real mystery. I just don't have the time.
Broadcasting from London, Ontario, Canada. Welcome. I'm Kevin Bulmer. This is Journeys with the No Schedule Man, as we explore and share and celebrate the stories of heart-centered entrepreneurs who have challenged themselves to grow and expand and follow their inspiration and live and work happy. And today, I'm thrilled to start the day with the opportunity to speak to you about one of my favorite people, Ryan Mulligan from Mulligan Realty Group, who had an itch for real estate that needed scratching and a passion for entrepreneurship. Also, one I can say as a personal friend of his for community and for family, and somebody that has been a great support to me and a really good friend and a valued member of our community. And so we've got all kinds of things to chat about today. I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from Ryan, and we're going to introduce you to him in just a couple of moments. While you're here, a reminder that you can find us in both audio and video form. If you like listening to podcasts with audio, kind of like I do when you're driving the car, when you're taking out the garbage, when you're making dinner, little bits and pieces are all at one chunk. I love sitting in on the conversations if you do too. Look for us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts if you like. Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. They've all got Journeys with the No Schedule Man. We're also on YouTube and Facebook. Our pages, our channels on both of those are at No Schedule Man. In fact, you can pretty much find us at No Schedule Man just about wherever. And please do take a moment to get connected and stay up to date. The most recent social media challenge that I've taken on is TikTok. And boy, I'm loving that. What an interesting digital ecosystem that is. So you can find me there at No Schedule Man, as you can see if you're watching the video. If you've got a connection to the internet and you can remember the name No Schedule Man, I am startlingly easy to find. I would love to hear from you. Let's please connect. Thanks to those who have supported this podcast to make it possible to bring these kinds of stories and lessons and learning to you, including Laura Ma at Diamond and Gold Treasures. You can connect with her at diamondsgold.com. You can find her once our economy opens back up again at 4330 Colonel Talbot Road in London, Ontario. Laura offers some of the finest jewelry in the area, along with jewelry repair and custom design. And I also highly encourage you to connect with Laura on social media, particularly Facebook, and see what she's doing, sharing herself and her ideas and making genuine, authentic videos and growing her business because of it. Laura is a great example to me and to the rest of us. Mo Mondays London is the inspirational event series hosted by yours truly. Just as soon as we can get back to it, we will resume once a month at a wonderful venue, one of my favorite places called the London Music Club. As for what Mo Mondays is, think like TEDx meets The Tonight Show with maybe a little bit of Muppet Show tossed in. Can't help it. Kermit the Frog is one of my heroes. So if you're in the London, Ontario area, I hope that you will come join us for an event in the future. If you would like to experience one in your city, connect with me and let me know. You can learn more either way at momondays.london.com. Mulligan Realty Group, you're going to learn more about today, but they've been a supporter from day one of Mo Mondays London, and since we rebooted this podcast in the summer of 2019, from being available whenever you need them to genuinely caring about you and the service you get. They do things differently at Mulligan Realty Group, the kind of realtor you deserve. Learn more at mulliganrealtygroup.com. Provincial Glass and Mirror, they've been busy during this COVID-19 lockdown, helping out other businesses in our community in a variety of ways. They're a professional full-service glass company owned and operated in southwestern Ontario and owned by just an absolute gem of a human being, a guy named Brett Lucier. I highly encourage you to connect with him and learn more at provincialglass.com. Talk about wonderful human beings. Carol Trickett at Trickett Financial provides insurance and investments for Canadians and newcomers to Canada. You can learn more and connect with Carol at trickettfinancial.com. Trickett with two T's in the middle, trickettfinancial.com. I know that Carol will take great care of you. And the Turtle Tribe, which is a unique online coaching community hosted by yours truly, there to support heart-centered entrepreneurs and creative souls to experience more of what you desire and deserve. How do you live, work, and communicate happy? Yeah, I like to say run your own race at your own pace. And with something like this, which is hosted virtually, you can do that from your own place. Learn more and join us today if you like at theturtletribe.com. I'm Kevin Bolmer. It's great to have you here. This podcast, again, is called Journeys with the No Schedule Man. Years ago, we started this because I just felt interested in friends, neighbors, clients, members of the community. I'm not particularly inclined to be all that gaga over celebrities. I just view people as people. Not to say that I don't think celebrities have interesting things to offer. I'm sure many of them do. But I feel like those who are walking among us and beside us and living and working with us have so much to share that we don't necessarily always access or appreciate, let alone celebrate and share. And so that's one of the key reasons why I started this podcast, was to do that. And what I have found is that in every case, just having a conversation with somebody brings out the essence of their personality and of their journey and what they've learned and what some of their triumphs have been, what some of their challenges have been, and how they've navigated through that. And by sharing and hearing about those things, I find that certainly it's helped me. I hope it helps you as well. Today, I'm joined by somebody who has been an enormous help and inspiration to me, both as a friend and as a member of the business community. And he's been there right from the start when I needed help to get Mo Monday's London off the ground. And over the last little while has been a supporter of Journeys with the No Schedule Man. I don't know what it is, Ryan. You just don't seem to be able to say no to me. What's the magic elixir, or do I just unknowingly have some sort of voodoo hex over you? What's going on?
You're a great salesperson, buddy. You're a great salesperson, and the dashing good looks, like I said. No, hey, you came in and told me what you were going to do with everything, and I just bought into it and believed in you. I mean, I met you back a few years ago with my brother, and I just believed in you. So I bought into it and wanted to jump on the train here.
Well, it's interesting. Thank you very much. I find that the more you work from a place of your heart, when you're really representing your values, and I don't mean values necessarily like honesty and integrity; those are important, obviously, but creatively, even things that you feel are really important to you. How we just tend to draw people into our experience who share those values and can help those creative ideas and concepts come to life, and connect with other people who will resonate with that. It seems to me that's what's been going on with Mulligan Realty Group. What would you say has been the key to attracting such a great team of people?
Well, I think part of it was, I go back to when I first got into real estate and started with a company called Keller Williams, and it was just the training I went through, and just like essentially the training I went through with that, and how to build a team and be yourself and grow as an entrepreneur, and really want to give a great client experience. I think people just bought into that and believed in me, and people have kind of come along for the ride. And I have to say, I have the best team in real estate, I believe. They're family of mine. I love them to death, and they're on a great ride with me. So it's been great.
Everything that I see from Mulligan Realty Group is all about team. It looks more like family. Even there are billboards up around the city of London, Ontario at the time we're recording this. I remember the first time I saw one going along Bradley, just right about where the train tracks are at Pond Mills, and I wanted to cheer. I was like, hey, look, there's the whole group. But it wasn't just Ryan Mulligan. It was the whole team. But that's not a put on. Family and community is important to you, isn't it?
It is. And I never have wanted this to be the Ryan Mulligan show, ever. And I always say to the people within my company that it's not the Ryan Mulligan show. I want this to be about everybody. And even backing up to when I rebranded to the Mulligan Realty Group, I didn't even really want my name in it. That was the first one that came up, as just simplicity. And then, myself and my business coach at the time, Marianne from Red Apple Coaching, and Cone Marketing, who was helping me with the rebrand. came up with a bunch of different things. And at the end of the day, it just came back to Mulligan Realty Group, but it never was about me. And the whole billboard thing, I didn't want it to be my face up there. I didn't want it to be Ryan, and call Ryan, when it's not about me. It's about Emma, Heather, Daryl, Jamie, Kelly, Kyle, everybody on our team. And you can see that we're all the same size on that billboard. It's not me as bigger than everybody else. And that's really what, family, that's what family is about. It's not a one person show. And I think that's what we're all about.
I've got so much that I want to ask you about. Getting into the business, the challenges of a business, how you're navigating some of the challenges now and the landscape and the environment that we're in. Maybe real estate in general, a little bit if we can. So many different things. Family. I know some other members of your family, and you know that I love and appreciate them very much. Before we maybe dive into some of those things, I wonder if you'll go with me in the Wayback Machine just to set the stage a little bit about how you kind of became to be the guy that's arrived here in this conversation to begin with. When you were younger, whatever you consider younger to be, teens or prior to that, what do you remember being really interested in, the kinds of things that you were enthusiastic about at that time, and or that you thought might be ahead of you? What held your curiosity when you were a younger version of yourself?
Well, it's funny. I thought about this about a year ago, and I remember talking to my grandma. I was probably my grandma and grandpa. It was probably when I was about Miles's age, who is 10 right now. Could have been younger, could have been a little bit older, but I remember always thinking that I was into sports and watching sports and playing road hockey and all that stuff, shooting hoops, playing basketball. I always thought it would be really cool to own my own sports store. So I said to my grandma and grandpa at the time, I said, I'd like to own Mulligan Sports. And I grew up in the town of St. Mary's, and, quick little plug here to Dunny Source for Sports. I thought I want to own a company like his, Mulligan Sports, or whatever that is. And then it just kind of grew from there. And, I switched a couple times what I wanted to do for a living, but that always kind of intrigued me, and I was curious about business. And then I didn't know what I wanted to do or be, so I ended up going to Humber College for just a business accounting, and that gave me kind of that intrigued me a little bit more, and interested in business and being an entrepreneur. So that's kind of what I call it, I guess you would say, the 10-year-old story. I don't know if that was the exact age, but I remember having that conversation with my grandma and grandpa, and just since then it just kind of grew from there.
At what point did you realize that maybe the sports store wasn't going to be the manifestation of that particular inspiration?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it was it was running a business was always neat to me. What I tell people is, I'm not the most creative person. I'm not I don't come up with the quote unquote $1 million idea that you see on Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, and that's never been me. So I fast forward a little bit. I thought, okay, I was working in the corporate world. I thought, how can I become an entrepreneur, work for myself, but not come up with that $1 million idea? And I always had an interest in real estate. My brother and I owned a couple real investment properties. I was interested in it. I was working for the bank at that time, so I had worked with some realtors while they're working with their clients. And it just always interested me. So I thought, I'm not the guy that's probably going to come up with the $1 million idea to be, to start a new product, is really what I mean there. And real estate was it. I was interested in it. I still could give still build customer relations with people and give a wow customer experience, client experience, and real estate was it. And then I just went all in.
What was it? What is it? Maybe more on the what was it than is it currently? If you can cast your mind back into some of those early days of exploring that, what was it that so interested you about real estate?
The customer service aspect of it, that really interested in. I love building rapport with people and getting to know them. I think that's really interesting and neat, whether that's from first contact on the phone or they call us, we're calling them. meeting somebody in person. It's just really neat to me to ask questions, as you're really good at. You ask a lot of questions to find more about people, and just building rapport. And, kind of the grind and the negotiation of real estate kind of got me interested in it. I think that's kind of fun, and it's a way to be able to give a customer service and makes somebody's big financial plans a success, whether they're buying, selling, whatever that is.
It's coming clearer to me because the building rapport and listening, you're one of the best listeners that I've ever encountered, disarmingly so. It's interesting for me. And others who know you, who watch this, might also get a kick out of it, that I've turned the tables on you to put you in a position where you kind of have to talk so much. But I remember one of the first times I sat down to speak with you, and you were just, I can't even do it with a straight
Sorry,
face.
you're cutting out there, Kevin. Did I lose you? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just talking about one of the first times we had a conversation, and your listening was so intent and so intense. It's a skill that I really admire. Your interest in other people is genuine. But to go back to the sports thing as well, you also have a real competitive aspect to your personality as well, don't you? And when I say competitive, I mean in sort of a fun, playful, maybe a good word is engaged sense, because you talked about sort of the grind and the negotiation. It seems like you've sort of married your genuine sense of human connection and caring with this sort of ongoing thrill of engagement of the activity. How fair a description do you feel that is?
Yeah, pretty good. I'd say it's pretty good. And just back to the whole competitive thing, I'm very, very competitive. Anybody that asks my brother, my sister, my parents, I'm a poor loser. I'm getting better at it, but I do not like losing. That's always been in me. I always want to win. I always want to strive to be the best. And that's what I've brought into our real estate group here in our business. I mean, one of our visions is to dominate the market and grow entrepreneurs within our company, and that's the competitive edge that I'll always have. I want to be top of a real estate board. If I do something, I'm going all in for the most part. So that will always be a part of me.
When's a time where that competitive edge has maybe worked against you, or taught you a lesson, not necessarily related to real estate or business, but that's sort of showing you maybe where the line is?
Oh gosh, great question. I think back to I guess sports when I was a kid, and being a poor loser, and I was big into basketball, and I would take a loss so poorly. I would not be okay with it. And I think that was in grade 9, so I would have been 14 years old. And I think I got upset, and I didn't like that I lost. And that kind of drew the line of, whoa, hold on here, back up, because it's not, life's not over. Right? If you lose and you're not the best at that moment, it's okay. And I struggle with that. That's one thing that I'll always struggle with. I want to push myself further and exceed what I ever thought I could do, and that's just a competitive nature.
Is it more for you, Ryan, about conquering or about growing?
Growing. Yeah, I'm always, maybe a bit of both, but I'm a growth mindset, and I wouldn't say that I've always been like that. That's with, again, lots of training with the first company I started my real estate business with, now being with partnering Mulligan Realty Group with Remax. They're very growth minded. Being a part of business coaches and listening to people like yourself, your podcast. I think I'm always going to have a growth mindset, and I'll never settle that. Okay, where I'm at right now is okay. I'm always going to want to push myself, the people within my team, our team, my family, friends, whoever that is, to be better. And you know what? Like, that's I bring, let's forget business for a second. Like look at my brother very well, Mike.
Yeah.
He's always growing as a person, and he's a quadriplegic in a wheelchair, and he lives next door to me. I see him always growing as a person and how he can get better. And that always just kind of checks myself, so business and personal, and I'll always have a growth mindset, if that makes any sense too.
It does. And I'm really glad you brought Mike up. I'm remiss in not having done that already. That as you're talking, I'm reminded that I think it was the second episode that we ever did of this podcast. And right now we're at, I think, 107.
Yeah.
But the second one that I ever did was with Mike, was with your brother. And that's an example of somebody that I just wanted to talk to. And I just wanted to do it because I wanted to do it. And that conversation really showed me, I think, what that was and the power of connection and of sharing each other, of what has since turned into not only more podcasts, but more Mondays London, which you've been a part of, and whatever else. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make there, Ryan, is that, as I had said at the outset of the episode, I feel like there's so much that we can learn from each other. You just touched on that as well, and what you were sharing. And I'm wondering how much of that is an aspect even of what you do, both with your teammates, maybe some of your mentors, and your clients, those that you work from. I'm guessing that you learn from every single person that you come across and try to serve.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work with some of the best people out there. We are so lucky to work with the clients that we have, and I mean that genuinely. And everybody's different. You deal with people every single day. Everyone has a different personality. Everyone's going through something different in their life, through this COVID crisis or whatever's going on in their life. And I learned something from somebody pretty much, I'd say probably every day. And every client's going to be different. Every situation is going to be different, and it's fun growing and learning from other people, because what somebody else is going through, I can bring that back into my own life, our own life, and that's we get to work with 140 different people or families every single year with our team, and growing from there, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Let's go back into the timeline now, and you're in real estate, you're established, you've got some experience. What was it like, the genesis of what I'll call going out on your own, rattling around in your head? How'd that come to be, and how did it feel for you?
So going out on my own, as far as starting a real estate business, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was scary, nerve-wracking, didn't know what I was jumping into, had never owned a business, had always worked for kind of, let's say, the quote-unquote corporate world. It was scary, but again, I jumped into a lot of training, asked a lot of questions to people that had been in the real estate business for a long time, really listened and grew from there. And I always thought, when I got into real estate, starting my own business, it was just going to be Ryan Mulligan. I didn't know anything further than that. I just saw, these real estate agents running their own business. I never knew you could run a business within a business, and that I'd have, an administrative team and other agents working with me. And I never thought that. Just to go back to the growth, I've just grown every single year. I'm like, okay, what can we do different? But back to your question, I thought it was just going to be Ryan Mulligan, and now that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I don't like just talking to you right now about all this. I don't want that. I never want it to be the Ryan Mulligan show. This is about Mulligan Realty Group, and but it was when I first got out into the real estate world, starting my own business. The best way I can say it is I was scared. I was scared.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I think it's important for other people to hear that, because I think that a lot of people who are entrepreneurial in nature, who have ideas and are looking to believe in themselves, and this certainly describes me at times too, Ryan, where we look at others that we feel are successful and maybe judge ourselves that we're not where we maybe think we want to be, or think at times that we should be. I'm reminded of a story that you told me once. about kind of struggling, being, I think, in the first year of you kind of operating with your own name on the shingle, so to speak, and reaching out to a mentor and getting some encouragement. Do you remember the story that I'm talking about? Because if you do, I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit about sort of how you were feeling and how having somebody else to just remind you, like, hey, stay at it. Like, you've got it. This doesn't pop overnight like what we see maybe in the movies. But I remember that there was something that was shared with you at that time that helped you. That story.
Yeah, so that was, believe it or not, and we talked about competitiveness and how competitive I am within. It almost shows my um, the lack of confidence I guess I had in the beginning of starting in this business. I was probably 1 or 2 months into the business, and I called my mentor at the time. He had helped me essentially get started with the brokerage and kind of what some things to do. And I called him within a month or two and said, I can't do this. I don't know if I'm cut out for this, because I think my my thought of how quick my business was gonna take off was further from the truth. So I said, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I got to go back to my corporate job where I'm guaranteed an income. I know what I'm going to get every 2 weeks. And he said, Ryan, you are, whatever it was, a month or two in, you are going to be great at this. You've got to give it time. It could have been a little bit different wording than that, but that was essentially what he had said. And he said, give it time. You're gonna run a great business. You're going to give a great customer service, and it'll grow from there. But you're not the person that's going to give up on this. And he didn't let me give up. And I would still call him to this day and thank him for that, because otherwise, I may not be standing here. So it was pretty cool. That was kind of an aha moment of, hang on here, why am I giving up? That was, for lack of better words, stupid. That's not my personality. And I took that and said, you know what, I'm going to go through a lot of struggles. It's going to be a fight. But we did it.
At what point do you remember feeling, if there even was a point at all, like you sort of woke up one day and realized, oh, I think we're going here. I think we're rolling. Was there ever a point that you arrived at that you felt like that?
Well, I think every year when I reflect on a year that's completed, I think I always feel that way. But last year was our big MRG boom year. That's really where it seemed like everything came together finally. And we'll be forever growing, always. But last year, we grew our business by 60%. Everybody was rolling. The admin team was on point. Our agents were on point. Everybody was wanting to learn, and they were all open to be coached and mentored by myself and other people. And last year was the year. And we were just and still are growing. This year, we're kind of taking a little bit of there's a little bit of a hiccup here, but to answer your question, it was last year. When I reflected on last year, it was that year, and I was lucky enough for all of us, our team, to be able to go away to Dominican Republic and just get away for a week and just celebrate. I really wanted everybody to decompress. It was a hard year. It was a lot of work. Everybody had their own struggles with, family and kids, and, life goes on. And I just really wanted everybody to decompress and have fun together. So it was last year, I'd say.
To give people a bit of context, what amount of time has it been since what is now known as Mulligan Realty Group came together as a business? How long have you been at it?
So I started my business almost this month. It'll be 7 years as Ryan Mulligan, and then I had partnered with someone at my old office, and that lasted a few years. And then, we went our separate ways. He went off and started a great business on his own with some other people. And that's when I rebranded to Mulligan Realty Group. And here we are today, but essentially it's 7 total years this month.
So between 6 and 7 years before you feel like, oh, okay, we're going now, and a whole team together. What about even earlier than that, when you had gone through the rebrand and how it felt, and maybe what some of the challenges were that you felt like you had to navigate that must have been new to you at that time, of going from just you to having another or other members of the team. What were some of the challenges you had to work through to make that a reality?
I think probably the main struggle for me is everything's kind of compiled in my head, and I know what needs to be done, or I think I do, and it's translating that to coach somebody else. I think that's probably the hardest part of my job is coaching and mentoring other people to get them to be the best they can in the business. So that's something I'll always be growing in and wanting to grow in. But I know I can do the business. I know the customer service I can give. It's coaching others to be able to give that same service as well.
Forwarding now into where we are, you touched on this a moment ago. You had a fantastic 2019. The business grows by 60%. We're off to a great start in 2020, and then all of a sudden the road falls out from everybody, literally all around the world as we run. How are you and your team navigating through this current COVID-19? I'll call it a crisis for want of a better word, but the sort of universal uncertainty. What's that look like behind the scenes with you and your teammates?
So, I mean, before the COVID crisis, we always had in-office team meetings. So that's more moved to video conference calls like this and Zoom calls, and just reconnecting. This is really, really hard what everybody is going through and working from home with kids. And it's just, let's pull back. Let's have a Monday morning meeting. And then I have Tuesday meetings with them over the phone and through Zoom. And then Fridays we connect on the phone or through Zoom. That's how we're staying connected, because obviously we can't see each other, which we're a team where we are within our company, we're in the office. For the most part, we don't work from home. So this is very strange for us. I like everybody in the office. We're always hearing other conversations and learning from each other and collaborating. And it's different. I mean, it's having to do everything through video is very strange for us, and having kids running around, and that's been, as a team, something we've all had to adjust. But I mean, everybody has. We're in no different spot than anybody else. A lot of people are working from home, and so that's how we're staying connected. Thank God for video conference calls and Zooms like this. So as a team, that's how we're staying connected.
What are some of the questions that you're hearing most often from some of your clients or prospective clients about, what do I do with my home? Can I still sell? Can we still plan to buy? What are they asking you about? What concerns do people have right now?
I think most people are concerned about the market now and moving forward. Too many people read the news and think that that's the full truth, or anything in the media. I mean, one article I heard that the real estate market was crashing. And if you only read that and listen to that, you're going to think, hey, I'm going to lose a lot of money in real estate if I go to sell. And that could be, further from the truth. There's another article that video that came out last night or this morning that I listened to and read that said, as a whole, the Canadian market is going to rebound by end of year, and 2021 will be a phenomenal year. And back on the unknowns, I guess, will be how many people, unfortunately, are going to lose their jobs and are laid off and not going to get their jobs back, and be put in a not a great spot. And those are unknowns that we don't know, but everything we can see locally in London, St. Thomas, Kitchener, Waterloo, let's just call it Southwestern Ontario. Let's not include Toronto in there for a sec here. We're going to rebound. We're telling people every day that this is just a little bit of a bump in the road here, but London and our area, specifically locally, is going to take off from this. We're still, let's just round numbers here. Our average sale price for London and surrounding areas is $450,000. 2 hours down the road, down the 401 to Toronto, their average sale price is $850 to $900. So just for easy numbers, let's call it double. if you're listening to just Toronto news, yes, they may see a decrease in values. I don't believe in anybody I talk to as far as that runs a good real estate business doesn't think that it's going to affect London. So we're just re-educating people on that kind of stuff, so they're not filled with fear through the media. I mean, just think down Kitchener-Waterloo, just down the road, is $125,000 more than us. So we're always going to be a growing city. We're not, our job focus, employment focus isn't on one sector. So I don't think it's going to affect us. I'm confident in saying that it's not going to affect us long term. Maybe just in the short term, over the next has for the last couple of months, and maybe another couple of months moving forward. But it's really just re-educating people.
How much do you think one city does affect the other? I'll give you the context from which I'm asking that question. Is that here in the area where we're located in London, Ontario, Canada, southwestern Ontario. I mean, real estate's just exploded in my view. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but a home that might have sold for $200,000 5 years ago is probably closer to 3.5 or 400,000 now. And what I continue to hear from, again, just people on the street is, well, big urban centers like Toronto are becoming so expensive that it's pushing people further and further out. And as you had mentioned, Kitchener, for those who don't know this area, Waterloo is an area loosely halfway between an urban center like Toronto and us. And it seems like the closer you get to that urban center, the higher the price is, but that effect is spreading out further and further. Is that a real thing, Ryan, about people just wanting to have maybe more for their money, but that are people actually buying in a place like London and then commuting into a place like Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We've got back in 2017 was our London big boom year. On average, we appreciated by about 18%, give or take. Whereas London's not used to, we're 3 to 5 on a normal year, let's just call it. But we were finding that people were cashing out in the big city in Toronto, selling their $1.5, $2 million house, whatever it may be, and at that time buying a home that was $350,000, $400,000, and they're either investors investing in the market because they can refinance their Toronto homes and purchase investment properties, or they are retiring and they want to cash out, like you said, liquidate and have more money in the bank and still own a home in a major city, and or people still work in Toronto and either need to only be there 1 or 2 days a week, or don't need to be there at all because their Toronto businesses are downsizing overhead and more work from home, which with the whole COVID crisis, I think we're going to see, and I think you'll agree with this, we'll see more people reevaluating their businesses and saying, we don't need the big office downtown Toronto or Calgary or Vancouver, and more people can work from home, which is going to spill out to the smaller communities of the London, Windsor, Sarnia, St. Thomas. You get some of those other communities that people don't need to live in Toronto, and they're going to downsize. And when I say downsize their house, downsize cash-wise, right? Get that money in the bank.
It would seem to me that a lot of businesses are going to have to fundamentally change, but I don't know that I want to go down that rabbit hole with you, because it's guesswork. Yeah, isn't it? I mean, we can hypothesize, and there are some things that maybe just make sense, I guess, given some of the information that we have. But conversations like these, one of the reasons why I love having them, Ryan, is that they are what I'll call evergreen, is that somebody can come and hear or see this a couple or 3 or 5 years from now and still gain a great perspective from you and what you've shared about getting into business. So I hesitate to opine too much on what may or may not happen related to the coronavirus thing. There are lots of other resources out there and people that will predict that. But in so much as it relates to real estate and what our current reality is of whatever you want to call it, social or physical distancing, it seems to me like that is something that is achievable, that you could still run an open house. You can still provide that service to clients through phone, through video conference, through being a crowd. I mean, I'm meeting with members of my own family, like Romeo and Juliet, talking to them while they're up on their front porch and I'm on the front lawn. But fundamentally, I don't mean to be glib about it, but you still can perform the basics of real estate even while keeping your distance. Can you not?
Absolutely, absolutely. So just in a quick example, I had a friend of mine reach out, wanted a quick value on his property, and he just walked me through Facebook Messenger video, walked me through the house, and I was able to get him a value. At the time, people forget sometimes we're stuck at home and we forget that we're supposed to social distance for a few seconds. So he's like, "Yeah, come on over." And I said, "Well, hang on here. We shouldn't. Let's do it through video." He's like, "Right, that makes sense." So he walked me through the house, and I was able to see the layout and understand the lay of the land there, see some upgrades he's done, and be able to still provide a value without me going there. That is going to be way more in the future. Is that the full way of real estate? Maybe not in the absolute near future, but more people are going to be okay. Hey, I'm busy. I work, my wife works, my kids are in sports. I don't need to see you in person. I'll just walk you through video, and that's how we connect now. So that's probably going to be, or not probably, will be part of the way we move forward with business. Same with showcasing a new listing. Before you could do a virtual tour and professional photos and do an open house, and people can come in still. Their buyer's agents are showing them through a property, no problem. Well, now open houses are shut down, and rightfully so. We shouldn't have just random people coming in and looking at a home. So we're either the agents just going there doing a video walkthrough, or we're taking strict health, following the strict health guidelines, and no kids in the house, just serious buyers. We pre-qualify them before to make sure they're pre-approved. The house is what they really want. We'll send them our own walkthrough video so that they can get the kind of the lay of the land of what it's going to look like, so they're not wasting anybody's time. When they go in, sanitize, wash your hands, don't touch anything that you don't have to. Sellers leave lights on, doors open. That was never a thing 2 months ago. It was as simple as, I wouldn't say simple, showing off property isn't just simple, but going in, accessing the key and walking the door, opening everything, checking it out. Now people are wearing masks and gloves and washing their hands, and it's very, very different. It's going to be a little bit slower getting back to a normal, if we get back to maybe there's a new normal, but I think these video walkthroughs and video virtual open houses will be a thing moving forward, and we're already seeing that. I mean, at the end of the day, Kevin, we're an essential service for a reason, because people that have sold need to buy. We're not in the business of putting people homeless, or vice versa. So our team has just taken the action of, if somebody has to sell, and or it's a vacant property, it's not affecting the seller, that they have to leave and be worried that they've become contracted with the virus. They don't have to sell right now. Let's just hold off and just wait. Okay. And if you don't have to buy, we're not just showing looky-loos and tire kickers around. We don't anyways, but we've gotten really good at pre-qualifying people, just so that people aren't just walking around looking at homes that shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think it speaks to that personal relationship, doesn't it? You're talking about something that is going to be one of the, if not the most significant investment that somebody makes. And you're talking about somebody's home. I mean, the epicenter. Look at how important our homes are to us. Yeah. Now we're all stuck there. And in times of uncertainty, especially, I think it really draws into focus who we feel that we can count on, who makes us feel safe. The marketing coach in me is now all about, who are you emotionally connected to? Because if you've noticed, those that you have no emotional connection to have fallen off your radar. You're not thinking about them. Right. They've just been out there making noise. Now that the noise has gone away, you don't miss them. You're actually maybe understanding that it's kind of nice not to hear the noise. But those with whom we have an emotional connection, we miss them. They matter to us. And what I'm getting at is back to some of the things where we started this episode of where your values come into play. And I don't think that you can just throw a slogan up on a billboard or a radio ad or a Google AdWords or Facebook or whatever it is, or a website, and just say, I am this. You can call yourself whatever the hell you want, but you have to show people, you have to be that, you have to earn that. And at a time like this, especially, I think that goes to show that you and all the members of Mulligan Realty Group have shown over and over, we're going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that you know that we're looking into this. We're going to guide you through it. You mentioned a time earlier about where you had to turn to a mentor. So many of us are mentors for each other right now at this time, aren't we, Ryan? Where I don't know about you, but my phone rings or I get a Facebook message or somebody just says, "Hey, I need to talk.
Yeah.
I'm struggling," and I've done that with other people. But anyway, I'm being very long on words. What I'm saying is that it's a high trust personal service, I think, that has to be earned. That's an important part of your business, whether there's a crisis or not. And I think that goes to show why that's been so important to you to build those personal relationships, and your whole team reflects that, don't they?
Yeah, and I think like always, but especially even through this, giving the right advice at the right time is key, and not just you want to sell, let's just get it out and get it sold and get a sale. It's not we're not about the sale. We're about what's right for you. I mean, if the 75-year-old couple wants to list their home and they don't have to sell right now, and they don't have anywhere else to go to quarantine and self-isolate while it's being listed, why are we going to put them at risk? That'd be the wrong advice to say, let's get it listed right now. A bit of an unknown there is, could we capitalize more money for them with very qualified buyers right now, or is it better to wait? At the end of the day, we give the advice, we give options, and that example was, it didn't make sense to list their home. They have a phenomenal property that, once we kind of get the clear that we're going back to a new normal, let's reevaluate it then. But I'm not in the business, and our team is not in the business of putting somebody at risk. And at the end of the day, this virus is a big risk. That's why all the health guidelines are out there and so and whatnot. But that's just a quick example of just the right advice at the right time. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday that I gave similar advice to, his wife had passed away back in November, and he was getting advice to sell it and to not sell it. And I said, you got to do what's right for you. Oftentimes we do say it's not the right thing to just, once somebody passes away, to just sell your property right away. There's a lot of emotions in there. And him and I, over a 10-minute conversation, decided, it's going to be too hard on him. He's 90 years old. That puts a lot of stress on him with the virus, the death of his wife. I'm not going to just do it for a sale. That'd be the wrong thing. Big picture here is, we do the right thing for people, they're going to tell 100 of their friends, and that's how we've grown our business. So I think, like I said, just the right advice at the right time.
Yeah, you're speaking to why I put a turtle beside everything that I do. It's people keep telling me life is short, and it is. It's short enough that we don't want to carry around the things that don't serve us any longer than we have to. Yeah. But my experience has also been life is long. It's certainly long enough to take a breath and do the right thing. One of the people that I talked to a couple of years ago on this podcast, Ryan, a guy named Jim Estel, who's the CEO of Danby Appliances, and he's been, I think, awarded the Order of Canada for some of the humanitarian work that he does, and is just recognized as really one of the business leaders in Canada. And his mission statement essentially is do the right thing.
Yeah, nice.
And I say to him, well, why is it like that? He says, well, because Kevin, when you're trying to empower people, do the right thing scales. When you're in a situation where you're having to make a decision, do the right thing. And isn't that so fundamentally simple, like the nose in front of our face? And yet, not to sound judgmental, but I guess I would say from my own experience, it's not as common as We think, but sometimes that means you've got to take a breath and you've got to trust. I need to do the right thing. Sometimes the right thing is letting something go in the moment, but if it's right, that'll all come out in the wash as it goes forward in the rest of the journey. Has been your experience, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we've been lucky enough to grow our business with that motto, that advice. So I love that. Yeah.
What about personally, just Ryan Mulligan, the guy that had to scratch that real estate itch, that whether it's at a time like this COVID crisis where there is uncertainty globally, or even just in general, how much, if at all, do you even have time or a curiosity as someone who is fascinated by the mechanics and the psychology and the financial realities of real estate? Do you look around at all and wonder about, hey, I wonder what's going to happen here. I see what's going on in this region. I wonder how this might affect this. What level of curiosity, just even personally, do you still have on that level of just the real estate game, for want of a better word, in general?
Well, I think that curiosity will always get the better part of me. So I'm always, reading articles and listening to news and wanting to know what's going on outside of our local market, because at the end of the day, what happens outside our local market, could affect us and does. So it's always just doing as much reading as possible, getting up early in the morning and starting my day with reading news articles, taking it with, it's not all true, but some of it's true. But just investigating and really understanding what's going on, not just here, but what's going on in New Zealand, Australia, how's it affecting over there, China, and just the curiosity, forget real estate for a second, of how the virus is affecting other people in the world, and keeping updated on that. And it's just a matter of just keep reading and watching the right media, not what, somebody in the down south would say fake news, but just keeping educated on what's going on, real estate, the virus, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, when you touch on media, I'm wondering now even what mainstream media is. And you're talking to a guy who came up through the ranks of radio in his career, so was sort of trained on what I'll call traditional media. But you maybe have sort of a major cable network in North America that is recognized maybe on the surface as a mainstream media that broadcasts to maybe, I don't know, I'm making this up off the top of my head, a few 100,000 people. But then you might have a podcast like somebody like Joe Rogan, who could have a conversation and put it out, and it's seen by millions of people. Well, so which is mainstream? And it's a really interesting ecosystem and landscape. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is that from the perspective of someone who is running a business and trying to communicate a business, I think it makes it all the more important to do those things that we were just talking about earlier. Do the right thing, treat people right, those personal interactions, whether we can continue to have them in person or with some of the tools that you mentioned recently. That almost transcends what's the best way to get my name out there? Isn't it? Because that part of it's become more of a challenge than ever, hasn't it?
For sure. Absolutely. It's, trying to fight through this and still have brand awareness, but having the right brand awareness by doing the right things through this, and following the protocols of what the government wants, and taking the essential service seriously. I guess I'll kick the question back to you. Like, how have you made it through this, with branding and all that?
Well, I do so much online that I would say I've actually accelerated my efforts.
Yeah.
But in doing that, it has enhanced for me how much I miss the in-person experience. And I think, Ryan, that we just as humans will gravitate back to that just as soon as we possibly can. And I feel like even in building a business, just in sales, I mean, you sending an email is anybody can send an email or spam a LinkedIn account or something like that. I find even when I pick up the phone and actually talk to somebody and ask someone about them, sets them back. They're not expecting to be asked something because they're expecting the pitch.
Right.
But even that almost seems to be appreciated more than it was earlier in my career of interrupting somebody on the phone. People like to hear the voice, but I've never found any suitable replacement for looking somebody right in the eye and sharing space with them. And I feel like I'm reminded of just how powerful that is, not just in building a business, but just person to person. Have you felt similarly?
Yeah, it's funny you just brought that up. So there's a great book called Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. So he talks about how social media is a great thing. You can reach out through people. You can have brand awareness and do lots of marketing online. But picking up the phone call, doing an in-person meeting is still the way to get in front of people and have people trust you. Social media is great. It's a great asset to our business. We do lots of online stuff. We have dozens and hundreds of people have come to us over the last couple of months asking for values and advice through just online ads, and we're out there to help. But nothing replaces picking up the phone and calling their clients or future clients, friends, family, and just saying, hi, I'm not here to sell your house, but I know you own a house, or even if you don't, is there somebody we can connect you with? Do you need help? That's not a coming at them to sell their property or, hey, you want to buy? That's sincerely and legitimately, how can we help? And that's really what our phone calls have been the last few months. Like I said, we've given hundreds of values to people that are curious about what's going on in the market in their direct neighborhood. And our call back to them isn't, ready to sell? No. If that's the case and they need to sell, we're there for them. But how can we help? Do you need to be connected to a mortgage advisor? Do you need to refinance? Do you need to be guided to an accountant? Do you need to, I've sent links to the government grants to people, email them off, or while I'm on the phone, I help them Google it. That's what we're there for. That's where the real value is. Online, talking to people online through social media, it's not the same. It's going to be hard for me to ever give up a sincere phone call and just do everything through email and social media.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I've found that even with, since we haven't been able to do our live events with Mo Mondays London, which you've supported from the start, we've done a couple of them online and the content has been good. The people telling the stories has been fantastic. But it's not the same, man. Like I'm the same me. I care just as much. I am trying just as hard, but there's something about that human to human experience and the energy that gets exchanged. And I think whether it's something like what I do when I'm maybe speaking from stage or coaching and working with people, or something like what you do when you're working with people and you're transitioning them through something very personal, your spidey senses can instantly tell. Like it comes down to whether you trust yourself or not. I think you can instantly tell whether this person really cares about me and has my best interests at heart, or whether they're in it for themselves. It's tougher to tell. I think you can still tell, but it's a little tougher when we're separated electronically. But I don't know, Ryan. I was always taught in sales there is no substitute for FaceTime. Like, and I don't mean the iPhone app. I mean like face to face, being together, and it sounds like we both agree as far as that's concerned. That was more of a statement than a question. I'm going to make one more statement before we wrap up.
Sure.
I really would like to share with you how much I appreciate you and the example that you continue to set, and that I am still going through a version of what you had described earlier about building your own business and trusting in yourself, of like, okay, are my ideas, is this thought about celebrating and sharing each other and helping other people to really be not who I think they should be or who anybody else thinks that they should be, but who they want to be. As I feel like a lot of us we maybe lose touch with that. It's so easy to judge ourselves or compare ourselves or compete against others. Of what does it look like to just be ourselves? And for me to decide, I want to be that guy, however that looks. And it's taken time to try to find it. And in order to do that, you need support. And you have been there every single time, whether I just needed to rattle an idea off of somebody, or whether I needed financial support to get something like Mo Mondays up and running. And I'm very sincere in that I really feel like what we're doing is helping people in our own way, but that every time we can do that, or if a podcast like this reaches somebody and even one thing that you share helps somebody out in their business or life, well, it's not me. It's sort of like your Mulligan Realty Group team. It's all of us. It's you. It's Laura Mall. It's Brett Luche. It's Carol Trickett. And I think that's a really neat thing. Um, and I'm really grateful, Ryan. I'm really grateful for you and for the example that you set, and for what you stand for. And I just wanted to share that publicly. And I want to thank you for everything that you shared here today. And I look forward to. I consider it an absolute honor to have my name beside yours in any fashion. And I just want to say a sincere thank you for that.
Well, you're more than welcome, and it's an honor being on here. And I'm glad I'm number 107 because seven's my lucky number. So thank you for that. You didn't need to know that. But hey, you've done phenomenal things, and you didn't have to sell me on anything when you and I first sat down. I just believed in you. I really liked you from the day I met you back with my brother back years ago, and I just bought into it, and I think you're doing great things. You're the local Joe Rogan. I listen to Joe Rogan all the time, and multiple other podcasts. You're doing great things. Keep it up. I think what you're doing with Mo Mondays is phenomenal, and Turtle Tribe. I'm so impressed. I'm super impressed. So yeah, it's been an honor. Thank you for having me on. If I can just say one thing, of course, as always, we all want to thank the frontline healthcare, the truck drivers, the people at the grocery store. Simple thank you when you're grocery shopping. Those people are under a lot of stress. Say thank you. You know, the nurses, doctors, it's incredible what they're doing. I'm gonna get kind of choked up here for a sec, but tomorrow would be my nephew's 3rd birthday. He passed away last year. And I just want to say happy birthday, Max. We are always thinking about you. You're always in our hearts. And, thank you to the nurses and doctors that helped my sister, Jamie, and her husband, Kevin, through all that. You guys are heroes. And my little nephew, Max, was a hero. And tomorrow would be his 3rd birthday. So just wanted to say thank you to the nurses, doctors, and all frontline workers.
What was the project that came together? I want to say last summer, Ryan. Was it Max's Minions? I feel like there were fields full of flowers or daffodils or something like that. What? We could maybe come back and have a whole other conversation on this. But since you mentioned it, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you to comment on that, because it was pretty magical.
Yeah, a local farmer, Brian, who works with and is friends with Kevin, who is a farmer in the Thetford area. He marked off, I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, about 8 acres of his property and planted 6 acres of sunflowers in Max's memory. So it was called Max's Minions. So it was incredible. All you got to do is Facebook search it, probably Google it, YouTube it. There's thousands of photos. And all the money that people donated were, Jamie and Kevin donated back to lots of different charities, which was just incredible. Just his memory is going to continue to live on. And tomorrow being his birthday, we're all going to wear our Team Max shirts and post it all over the internet. And it's just things like that keep his memory living. And what Brian did with the sunflowers was just incredible. And that's something that I'll never forget. And for sure, Jamie and my sister Jamie and Kevin, well, that'll just always be stuck in their heart. So I thought that was just incredible. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing about that. I would also love to say that I deliberately engineered an episode with a 7 in there for you, but but I cannot lie to you. If I had done that, I would have made it a 007 of some sort or another. And I echo your statement about those who are our frontliners. And I think that maybe harkens back to what we were saying at the very beginning of this conversation is, just look around you. You will see heroes every day. And your advice is so sound to just to say a thank you, or even to look up and smile and say hi. Um, I know it sounds glib, but I mean, it can mean the world to somebody else. We have no idea what other people are dealing with. And I hope that one of the byproducts that comes out of this especially challenging time is that we'll see that more, and that we'll carry that through, and look for and acknowledge just how special we all are, and how much we mean to each other, and how much we all need each other, regardless of how many Instagram followers we have, or how many people have our bubblegum card, or however the hell you measure success. We're all in it together. And thank you for mentioning that, Ryan. I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day, but thanks for all of it. Thanks for this conversation, and just thanks for being who you are.
Thanks for having me. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. Ryan Mulligan, you can reach him at mulliganrealtygroup.com, and reach all the members of his team there as well. This has been, as you have heard, episode number 107. I almost said 007. Whoops. I'll get to it in a second. There it is. You'll be able to find it on noscheduleman.com. We'll put a blog post together that will have both the embedded audio and the video. And we'll also link these following feeds so that you can choose whatever channel you like, whether you'd like to listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, or you can find us on YouTube and Facebook as well at No Schedule Man. It's absolutely free to subscribe to Journeys with the No Schedule Man, and I'd encourage you to do that. Go back and listen to episode 2 with Ryan's brother, Mike. An incredible story that will really touch your heart. I'll leave it at that. When I also mentioned Jim Estill from Danby Appliances in this episode, I think that's episode 60, 61, somewhere in there. It's called Do the Right Thing, or Putting People First. Listen to that if you're interested in business, or you're building business and you want to hear from one of the leaders in the community and business in Canada. He's a good one, just as Ryan is. If you can remember the name No Schedule Man and you have access to any of these social channels, I'm easy to find. Please connect and follow along. My latest project is TikTok, which absolutely fascinates me. I'm so fascinated with this thing, but I feel like I've entered a party where I don't know anybody. So if you're on there, please connect with me and let me know you found me here, to make sure that I can turn around and follow you back, and we can help each other out as we navigate that landscape. But basically, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at No Schedule Man, and you can always jump on our email list if you're at noscheduleman.com as well. Thanks to Diamond and Gold Treasures. Thanks to Trickett Financial, Mo Mondays London, the Turtle Tribe, Provincial Glass and Mirror, Mulligan Realty Group. Thanks, of course, to Ryan Mulligan for joining us. And most of all, thanks to you. My name is Kevin Bolmer. This is Journeys with the No Schedule Man. Really appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.